Darkness was never empty during the war. It was active. It moved. It listened. For soldiers in World War II, night did not just remove light. It removed certainty. Everything familiar disappeared. When the light vanished, the mind changed state. Thought slowed down. Instinct took control. Every sense sharpened at once, not to understand the surroundings, only to survive. During the day, danger could be seen. Shapes were clear. Distance made sense. At night, danger had no form. It could only be imagined, and imagination under threat is never neutral. The human brain depends on sight to regulate fear. When sight failed, the mind filled the gap. In combat, those gaps were filled with the worst possibilities. A sound could mean an enemy. Fabric shifting could signal movement. A shadow could become a figure. Silence could mean preparation. Over time, darkness stopped being an environment. It became a trigger. Soldiers did not choose this response. It was trained into them. Night after night, the same lesson was repeated. When light disappears, death becomes unpredictable. The brain adapted to stay alert. Muscles stayed tense. Reaction came without warning. That state could not last forever. But during war, it was necessary. The problem came later. The mind could not separate wartime darkness from ordinary night. It recognized only patterns, and the pattern was clear. Darkness came before attacks. Darkness hid threats. Darkness removed control. Inside the brain, fear changed function. It stopped acting like an emotion. It became a system. Automatic, precise, constant. The heart reacted first. Heart rate increased without permission. Breathing became shallow. Muscles tightened on their own. The body prepared for impact, even when nothing was happening. Logic was bypassed. Safety was not evaluated. The worst was assumed. Nyctophobia was not fear of darkness itself. It was fear of what darkness allowed. During night operations, soldiers learned to stay still. Movement meant exposure. Sound meant attention. Even breathing felt dangerous. The mind learned to monitor itself, to suppress instinct, to remain silent. That tension reshaped perception. Darkness began to feel heavy, not symbolically, physically. Veterans later described pressure, as if the air became thicker. Without light, space felt smaller. Even open areas felt closed. The mind collapsed inward, searching for threats that could not be seen. This constant surveillance had a cost. Sleep became fragmented. Rest no longer felt safe. Dreams blended with memory. The past leaked into the present. The brain refused to shut down. Stillness felt unnatural. What made this fear disturbing was its silence. There were no visible wounds, no scars, no clear symptoms, only an internal response, triggered the moment darkness appeared. Many soldiers did not understand it. They did not feel fear in the usual sense. There was no memory attached, no clear thought, only a sudden certainty. Something was wrong. Something was about to happen. That is how nyctophobia worked. Not as panic, but as anticipation. The mind stayed suspended, always before impact, before noise, before movement, before death. Even when the war ended, the mechanism remained. The environment changed. The response did not. Darkness still meant vulnerability. It still removed control. It still demanded readiness. The brain had learned too well. Nyctophobia did not destroy the mind. It locked it in survival. The darkness was no longer dangerous, but the mind had no proof of that. When fear is learned at the level of survival, memory is not required. It does not wait. It simply activates. What truly destroyed the sense of safety was not what soldiers saw at night. It was what their minds began to do without light. Darkness forced the brain to operate without confirmation. Vision was removed. Without sight, the mind relied on prediction. Under danger, prediction always leaned toward the worst outcome. Inside the soldier's head, this process became automatic. It required no conscious effort. The brain scanned for patterns learned in combat. It searched constantly. Silence stopped feeling neutral. It became suspicious. Stillness felt wrong. The absence of sound felt deliberate. Quiet no longer calmed the mind. It suggested something was being withheld. This is how nyctophobia took hold. Not through terror, but through control. The mind began simulating danger non-stop. It replayed possibilities. It did not return to memories. It focused on what might happen next. This anticipation kept soldiers alive during war, but it carried an unseen cost. Fear stopped reacting to events. It moved ahead of them. During long nights, soldiers lived in suspended action, always waiting. Muscles stayed partially engaged. The body never fully relaxed. Breathing remained controlled. Even air felt monitored. Any sudden movement could trigger consequences, even their own. Over time, the nervous system learned a rule. Darkness meant brace. That command never disappeared. After the war, the lights went out. The sequence returned immediately. The mind did not question it. It issued instructions. Stay alert. Stay still. Prepare. Veterans described feeling trapped inside their bodies, unable to release tension. The room was familiar. The environment was safe, but the internal response disagreed. Danger still felt present. This created a fracture. Logic and sensation no longer matched. Nyctophobia lived inside that fracture. It grew there. Veterans tried to rationalize the fear. It only felt stranger. They knew they were safe. Their bodies did not agree. The fear was not loud. It was constant. It pressed inward, quietly. Darkness amplified this state. It removed reference points. Without visual anchors, awareness narrowed. Thoughts sharpened. Time stretched. Seconds felt longer. Waiting became unbearable. This condition was sinister because it was subtle. There was no single panic moment, no collapse, only a steady erosion of calm. Anticipation became exhausting. Sleep suffered first. Rest required surrender. Darkness demanded vigilance instead. Veterans lay awake listening, monitoring, preparing. When sleep came, it was fragile, easily broken. Exhaustion blurred perception. Fatigue fed anxiety. Anxiety fed the fear. The cycle sustained itself. No external trigger was needed. Darkness was enough. Doctors struggled to explain this. There were no visible wounds. Without symptoms, the condition was dismissed. Inside the mind, the damage was real. Neural pathways shaped by survival remained active. They waited for the same trigger: darkness. Nyctophobia did not change reality. It changed expectation. Danger always felt imminent, just hidden. Certainty could not be trusted. Safety felt temporary. This is why the fear felt absolute. It did not reason. It did not fluctuate. It operated beneath conscious thought. The body reacted first. The mind followed. For many soldiers, this system never shut down. It became part of daily life. They avoided darkness unconsciously, not because they chose to, because their bodies refused. The war had ended, but the night still carried authority. Each time the lights went out, the conclusion returned. If you cannot see, you are exposed. If you are exposed, you are vulnerable. If you are vulnerable, you may not survive. Before we go any deeper into what the war did to the human mind, I need to ask you something. Where are you watching this from right now? Are you in New York, California, Texas? Maybe somewhere completely different? Drop your city in the comments below. I genuinely want to know how far this story is reaching. And if this look into the psychological shadows of World War II is keeping you hooked, hit the like button. It tells YouTube this kind of history matters. If you're not subscribed yet, now's the time. More stories like this are coming. Let's continue.